Hi everybody, DJ Mac of Vintage Cards and Nostalgia here. Now today I want us to travel back to New York. It's November 1976, an unforgettable turning point in baseball history. George Steinbrenner, the ambitious and brash owner of the New York Yankees, is licking his wounds. Just a month earlier, the Yankees had been swept by the Cincinnati Reds in the World Series. The sting of that loss was sharp, and it lingered in the cold November air, fueling Steinbrenner's hunger for redemption. Now the Yankees, a team that had dominated the game for decades, had not won a World Series since 1962. The weight of that drought was heavy on Steinbrenner's shoulders, and he was desperate for a change. The boss, he needed a savior, someone who could inject new life into the team that had lost its shine, someone who could help deliver the elusive championship that had been missing for so long. And that savior would have to be more than just a player. He needed to be a superstar who could not only deliver on the field, but would embody everything Steinbrenner craved: glitz, fame, and undeniable talent. And so Steinbrenner turned his gaze to one man, one name that would soon dominate the headlines of sports throughout the world. That is Reggie Jackson. Jackson was no ordinary slugger. He was a force of nature, a titan of the diamond with a presence that extended far beyond the confines of the game. Reggie was as brash, as bold, as uncompromising as the city he was about to call home. He was the embodiment of modern celebrity in sport. Arrogant to some, undeniably talented to others, and always outspoken, much like Steinbrenner himself. Now the Yankees had finally gotten their man. In 1977, Reggie signed a monumental 5-year, $3.5 million contract. But there was one small problem. Reggie's number 9 was already taken. It was worn by current Yankees third baseman Greg Nettles. So Reggie did what any larger-than-life figure would do. He chose the number 44, worn previously by none other than the recently retired home run king, Hank Aaron. And in that moment, it felt only fitting. A new king of New York had arrived, and it was Reggie Jackson. But it didn't take long for the ever-quotable Reggie to stir the pot. And boy, did he stir it. You see, Reggie Jackson wasn't just any athlete. He was a living headline, whose words carried as much weight as his bat. And boy, did he love to talk. Which brings me to a recent pickup I want to share today. It is a magazine that has been in my eBay saved search for over a year, and nothing had come up until December 9th, when I finally got the notification I had been waiting for. It is the June 1977 issue of Sport, a newsstand copy of a magazine that became part of baseball lore in its own right. Now, it's not that this issue is exceedingly rare. I'm sure there are copies out there, but for some reason, in all that time, I had never seen one come up for sale, and I'm just so excited to have it. Now, unlike most magazines that tell a story, this issue of Sport is the story. I'm going to share a very brief excerpt from the MLB Network show Baseball Seasons 1977 that shows this magazine and speaks to its role in one of the most memorable quotes ever recorded.
During the course of spring training, Reggie did an interview with Sport magazine, the famous interview now where he said, "I'm the straw that stirs the drink. Thurman can only stir it bad."
I'm the straw that stirs the drink. Those words, spoken by Reggie Jackson in an interview, reverberated across the world of sports. While I was just 2 years old when Reggie made this infamous statement, it became a part of my baseball upbringing as I grew up a fan of the Yankees and Reggie was my favorite player. Now, even though I wasn't old enough to understand it at the time, that quote planted a seed, one that would grow and eventually lead to the chaos, drama, and brilliance that surrounded the Yankees during the late 70s. It set the stage for the fiery relationship between Reggie Jackson, Billy Martin, and George Steinbrenner, a relationship that would ultimately give birth to the team's nickname, the Bronx Zoo. I always wanted to read the article straight from the magazine. I just felt like I had history in my hands. Now, there are some insights I've gathered that I want to share with you today. First of all, you'll notice that the story did not dominate the cover. It was limited to a blurb in the upper right corner that reads, "Fireworks on the Yankees, a preview starring Reggie Jackson and a host of egos." Now, I have to think the editor must have believed the story was journalistic gold, but they might have already been committed to featuring greed in sports on the cover. Now let's take a look at the table of contents, where you'll notice the story about Reggie and the Yankees is located on page 88 toward the end of the magazine. This may have been done to get you to look at the rest of the magazine first and put one of the better stories in the back to draw you in. So here's the article. It's accompanied by this beautiful photo of Reggie in his pinstripe glory, swinging his bat in front of a backdrop of red, white, and blue fireworks. I think this is really just a stunning image of the future Mr. October. The writer, Robert Ward, interviewed several of the players in addition to Jackson. Sparky Lyle, who was getting a rubdown when Ward asked him about Jackson, said, "I don't think we need him. Not to take anything away from his talents, but what we really need was a good right-handed hitter, a right-handed superstar." I think Lyle's opinion may have been influenced a little by Reggie's large salary, given that Lyle was in a contract dispute with Steinbrenner at the time. Jim Wynn, shown here as a Brave in the Topps base set and as a Yankee in the Burger King issue, was thrilled to have Reggie on the team. In the article, it was said they were chatting about hitting at Fenway Park, and Wynn, who was a career National League player up to that point, was told by Reggie that he's going to love hitting at Fenway. Wynn was in awe of Reggie and said, "You know, Reggie, I hope my son grows up to be like you. Not like me, like you." Lou Panella strides across the room and says, "Hey, Reg, how you doing?" "How you doing, hoss?" Reg responds affably. "I'm not the horse, Reg," Panella says, with a good deal of uncertainty in his voice. "You're the hoss. I'm just the cart." Now, Jackson smiles, trying to pass the remark off as a joke, but later in the article, he feels that this sentiment echoed across each of the players on the team. They were very standoffish. Here's where Reggie makes his infamous quote. "You know," he says, "this team, it all flows from me. I've got to keep it all going. I'm the straw that stirs the drink. It all comes back to me. Maybe I should say me and Munson, but really, he doesn't enter into it. He's being so damn insecure about the whole thing. I've overheard him talking about me." Here's the part where he calls out Munson. "The way the Yankees were humiliated by the Reds, you think that doesn't bother Billy Martin? He's no fool. He's smart, very smart, and he's a winner." Munson's tough too. He's a winner, but there's just nobody who can do for a club what I can do. There's nobody who can put meat in the seats the way I can. That's just the way it is. Munson, he thinks he can be the straw that stirs the drink, but he can only stir it bad. There are many other interesting elements in this article, and I'll put a link to it online in the description. However, the biggest surprise for me was when Reggie said, "A friend of mine has already told me you or Munson will be gone in 2 years." Those words turned out to be near prophetic. As we know, Thurman Munson passed away just 2.5 years later, in August 1979. So what does the future hold for this magazine in my collection? I've mentioned in the past that eventually I'll be building a display that will hold 2 magazines and several graded cards. I plan to put this sport magazine alongside a newsstand copy of the 1977 Sports Illustrated featuring Reggie and his iconic swing on the cover. Now, I'm hoping to find the Reggie magazine this year, and I'm also going to include several graded cards of Yankees from 1977 and 1978 to go along with it. Now for me, this magazine is not just about a couple of quotes. It's about everything that came with it. It's about the dysfunction, the public feuds, the egos, and the spirit and will to win. In truth, the straw that stirs the drink quote didn't just mark a moment in time. It marked the beginning of an unforgettable era in Yankees history. It planted the seed that would eventually culminate in Billy Martin's resignation due to health reasons in July 1978. But let's be honest, the real reason was that Martin had publicly declared that George Steinbrenner and Reggie Jackson deserve each other. One is a born liar, and the other is convicted. I bought this magazine on a buy it now for under $5 with shipping. It cost me $10 total. $10 for this special magazine. It has brought me more joy than a single card worth 100 times could bring. You don't need to spend a lot of money to enjoy the hobby and build a collection with deep meaning. I've captured an important moment in MLB history in the pages of this magazine, and it helps tell the story of my collection. I hope everybody has a great weekend.